To be chosen by God is not to be favored in the way men often imagine. It is not to be paraded before the world as exceptional, or to be applauded for some rare virtue. No, it is something far stranger and more difficult. To be chosen is to be burdened. It is to be interrupted. It is to have your plans gently but firmly removed from your trembling hands, and a new script, one you did not write, placed before you. The role of the chosen is never self-written. It is always given. And it is not, as many suppose, a reward for being good. It is, more often, a commission given, despite the trembling state of the one who receives it. You see, we live under the illusion that choice is always rooted in merit. We choose our leaders because of their strength, our friends because of their wit, our lovers because of their beauty or charm. But divine choice operates on another axis altogether. It confounds our instincts. It upends our sense of fairness. It chooses the youngest when the eldest stands ready. It sends the shepherd while the warrior waits. It anoints the seemingly unqualified, not to confuse us, but to reveal something deeper, that God's purposes are not earned, they are received. And the moment we believe we deserved the calling, we have likely misunderstood it altogether. When God reveals a name, yes, a name, not a feeling or a vague impression, He does not do so for the purpose of curiosity or comfort. A name is not a puzzle piece to fit into your own story. It is an invitation to surrender your story altogether. When the whisper of a name is heard in the quiet of prayer, or burns within the soul with a clarity you cannot dismiss, it is not the beginning of romance, but of revelation. It is a summons into obedience. And that summons will not always make you feel noble or brave. Often it will make you afraid. Often it will demand you move forward with no visible light except the name itself, as though you were walking across a bridge made of wind. You may be told that you are foolish, especially if the one revealed to you is younger than yourself. Ah, but age is a terrible yardstick for the soul. Time may mature the body, but the spirit ripens under another sun. A younger soul may be older in devotion, richer in faith, more seasoned by the fires of surrender. If you expect that God will always send you someone who fits the expectations of society, older, taller, more accomplished, you are not asking for God's will. You are asking for His compliance. Do not think, either, that such a marriage will be easy simply because it was divinely ordained. The seal of heaven does not remove the weight of the cross. It places it more firmly. To be joined to the one whose name God has spoken is to walk into a sacred furnace. It is to have your rough edges confronted daily, your fears exposed, your selfishness stripped bare, not in punishment, but in preparation. It is in this covenant, this God-ordained union, that you will not find escape from your weaknesses, but the transformation of them. Two souls are not welded into one through comfort, but through fire. And if you fear this, if you feel the trembling of your heart at such a thought, then you understand it truly. For no one walks lightly into something sacred. But take heart. The one who called you does not call in jest. He will finish what He began, and though the world may scoff at the path you take, and though even your own heart may falter, the name He whispered will become the song you sing, not because it was what you were chosen, but because it was what you were chosen for. To be chosen by God is not to be lifted onto a pedestal, but to be brought low into purpose. We imagine divine selection to be accompanied by light and glory, a kind of coronation, but more often it begins in silence, in obscurity, and even in discomfort. The chosen are rarely the comfortable. Their lives are marked not by ease, but by alignment. alignment with a will that is not their own. When God chooses you, He interrupts you. He disrupts your plans, unsettles your expectations, and calls you to follow Him along a path you would not have picked. This is not cruelty, it is invitation. It is mercy, though it often feels like loss. There is a terrible romance in being chosen. Not a soft, sentimental kind, but a raw, holy love that seeks the deepest good, not the shallowest pleasure. God's choosing is not a compliment, it is a commissioning. When He reveals the name of someone destined to walk beside you, it is not a gift to be admired, but a covenant to be honored. And when that name is spoken, not by your own desire, not by your wishful thinking, but by divine whisper, your first instinct may not be joy, but awe. You will know, not because it aligns with everything you hoped for, but because it strikes something deeper. An ache, a weight, a trembling recognition that this is not your doing. Many ask how they will know. But when God speaks a name, it does not flatter your preferences. It provokes your obedience. It disturbs your slumber. It calls you not to romance, but to readiness. A name revealed by God is not a destination, but a direction. You are not shown the end of the story, but given the next word, and the responsibility is not to make it come true, but to walk in trust. What matters is not how likely it seems, nor how logical. What matters is whether you are willing to obey. Now consider the strangeness of a younger soul being sent to marry you. It is precisely the kind of paradox God loves to employ. He who set the stars in place delights in using the unexpected to reveal the eternal. We are bound by our timelines, our hierarchies, our assumptions. We believe age must mean authority, or maturity, or readiness. But heaven is not so constrained. There are younger souls who carry older wisdom, because wisdom is not counted in years but in surrender. God does not choose based on age. He chooses based on alignment. And a younger soul, touched by God, may bear the very strength you need and the softness you lack. To the watching world this may seem absurd. People will question, doubt, even scorn. They will ask if you are sure, if this is truly from God. And in those moments you must remember, when Noah built the ark, it had not yet rained. When Mary said yes, she had no proof, but a promise. When you are chosen, and when a name is revealed, your obedience becomes your only clarity. The path will not always be lit, the next step will always be firm, if you take it by faith. The union you are called into is not merely for companionship. It is not a remedy for loneliness or a stage for dreams. It is a divine appointment for mutual refinement. You are not being sent someone to complete you, but to sharpen you, to stretch your spirit, to deepen your trust, to reflect back to you both the best and worst of what lies within. The one whose name has been revealed is not sent to entertain you, but to echo eternity in your life. Together you are not called to merely build a home, but an altar, not to pursue happiness, but holiness. And it is in that pursuit that the truest joy will be found. To be chosen is to be undone. It is to discover that your life is not your own, that the plans you so carefully crafted are merely the paper on which God intends to write His own script. There is a common delusion that being chosen means you have been found more worthy than others, more special, more spiritual. But the truth is, the chosen are not always the strongest, nor the smartest, nor even the most willing. They are the ones who, when summoned, cannot help but answer, even if their knees shake while doing so. They are the ones who, in the quiet of their hearts, feel a call that makes no sense to the world, but is impossible to ignore. To be chosen is not a badge of honor. It is a commission to walk where you would not have walked, to say yes to something you would not have imagined, and to surrender your will in favor of a will far greater than your own. And so, when God reveals a name to you, a real name, clear and living, not a vague impression or wishful thought, He is not granting you a wish, He is calling you to stewardship. That name is not your possession. It is not a reward to be flaunted or a mystery to be solved. It is a person, a soul, another sacred being, bound to your own by divine design. You are being entrusted with something holy. A name from God is not meant to be chased with romantic fantasy, but held with reverent fear. For every name carries a story, and stories revealed by heaven are written for more than comfort. They are written for kingdom. You will be tempted to doubt it. You will question whether it is real, whether it is from God or from your own longing. That is only natural. The soul cannot bear the weight of divine revelation without shaking. But the sign is not in how it makes you feel, but in what it stirs within you. Does it draw you closer to prayer? Does it humble you? Does it awaken in you a new seriousness, a new willingness to let go of your own desires? The name that comes from God will not stroke your ego, it will bend your knees. Now consider the manner in which this person is sent to you. Young in age, perhaps, but older in spirit. You must resist the natural urge to look down through the lens of worldly wisdom, for God has never chosen according to human metrics. He chooses shepherd boys to defeat giants, barren women to birth nations, fishermen to lead revolutions, and yes, He sometimes chooses a younger soul to be joined to one older, not as a disruption, but as a revelation. You may expect a spouse who meets your social criteria, who aligns with your age, your status, your expectations. But God is not in the business of meeting expectations. He is in the business of breaking them for the sake of something better. Do not confuse youthful age with immaturity. The soul moves according to the breath of God, not the ticking of clocks. What you may find in this younger soul is not lack, but legacy. Not naivety, but a purity unmarred by the cynicism of time. When God sends such a person, it is not a mistake, it is mercy. It is not misalignment, it is divine precision. You are not chosen to protect your pride, but to fulfill a purpose. You must then receive them not with suspicion, but with reverence, not because of their age, but because of their calling. The one sent to you is not arriving by chance. They are not yours to test, to remake, or to elevate. They are yours to journey with. Together you will not be two halves completing a romantic ideal, but two whole souls walking towards something far more holy than comfort, transformation. And it is in that transformation that God will make His presence known. To be chosen by God is not to be lifted into ease, but called into surrender. The moment you are called chosen, you are, in some sense, ruined, for the life you once thought was yours becomes something altogether different. The path ahead no longer follows the contours of your desires, but winds according to a will beyond you. This calling cannot be earned, nor can it be explained in terms that make perfect sense to human reasoning. It arrives quietly, like dew on grass, or thunderously, like a storm you never saw coming. Either way, it does not consult your preferences, it reorients them. To be chosen is to be changed, and not by force, but by the unbearable weight of love that asks for everything and withholds nothing. It is a love that calls you to step away from the crowd, to walk roads others do not understand, and to obey a voice that speaks more clearly in the silence than in applause. And when God reveals a name to you, not as a notion, not as an emotional projection, but as a real spiritual unveiling, you are not being given a fantasy to chase. You are being handed a charge to carry. That name is not a wish fulfilled, but a word spoken into being. It is not yours to control or define. It is a soul known to God and now entrusted to your heart for a purpose far beyond the conventions of this world. The name does not come with fireworks or perfection. It may even come with hesitation, because truth often does not flatter, it convicts. You may feel ill-equipped, unready, even resistant, but this is precisely the moment that defines the chosen. Not that they feel qualified, but that they obey anyway. The one whose name you have received is not coming to make your life more comfortable, but more complete in the divine sense of the word. Comfort is often the enemy of growth, and God is far more interested in your becoming than your easing. So when the name comes, it may challenge you. It may call you into deeper prayer, into more disciplined hope, into a courage you did not know you lacked. This is not a mere spouse you are receiving. It is a companion in covenant, someone through whom God will refine, rebuke, strengthen, and soften you. And the work will not be one-sided. You are sent for them just as much as they are sent for you. But what of the age? What of the strangeness that this soul, this divinely appointed counterpart, is younger? It is here the world begins to scoff and the divine begins to shine. For what is age to the one who authored time? What are our human conventions to the one who calls fishermen to lead and virgins to birth the Messiah? Age matters little when the soul is anchored in obedience. A younger soul, chosen by God, may bear fruits that shame the wisdom of the world. You must not look at the number of years, but at the depth of surrender. God does not match based on appearances. He aligns based on destiny. Do not fall into the error of judging God's choice by earthly logic. This soul may be younger in years, but older in faith. They may be the very person through whom your blind spots are exposed. Your pride is pruned, and your calling is unlocked. The scandal of divine wisdom is that it often looks like foolishness to men. But if you have truly heard the name, if the confirmation has pierced deeper than doubt can reach, then you must step forward, not in arrogance but in holy fear. Because obedience to a divine name is not just about who you marry, it's about who you become. To be chosen by God is not an accolade, it is an assignment. It does not descend upon the soul with the softness of flattery, but with the gravity of a commission. When heaven singles you out, it is not to ornament your life with divine sparkle, but to shape it into something eternally useful. The chosen life is not insulated from discomfort. It is often marked by it. God does not call the ready. He readies those he calls. And that readiness often begins with undoing your assumptions, undoing your plans, undoing even your identity, so that something higher, something more true, can be built in its place. The chosenness, then, is not for your sake alone. It is never self-contained. It is always relational. It points outward, toward the people, the purposes, and the eternal picture that God is weaving through your yes. When God speaks a name to your heart, it is not the spark of imagination, but the flame of revelation. This is not the echo of your wishes, nor the residue of your dreams. It is something quieter and deeper, yet more solid than either. The name he gives is not shouted in noise, but whispered in knowing. It does not demand immediate action, but invites sustained obedience. You are not called to understand it all at once. You are called to walk it out, one faithful step at a time. The danger is in rushing the process, trying to possess what has only been revealed. But revelation is not the same as fulfillment. A seed is not fruit. The name is not the marriage. It is the beginning of stewardship. The soul whose name has been given to you is not a reward for righteousness, nor a token of spiritual favor. This person is a mirror and a mystery, a compliment and a challenge. They are not sent to revolve around your orbit, but to walk with you on a narrow path that both of you are yet learning to follow. There will be joy, yes, but also fire. Divine unions are never for comfort alone. They are for sharpening, for breaking, for building. God does not pair people because they are perfect for each other in human terms. He joins them because together they are suited for the refining work of heaven. And this work cannot be done by accident. It must be entered with holy intention and carried with grace. Now enters the mystery, that this soul, appointed for such sacred companionship, is younger than you, and not merely in body but perhaps in experience, in worldly understanding. At first glance, this seems off-kilter. Surely God would match you with someone who fits your stage of life, someone who meets the expectations of society and the criteria of your peers. But divine wisdom is rarely bound by the symmetry we seek. Age, in the economy of the eternal, is not measured in years, but in yeses. A younger soul may be fresher, not in naivety, but in clarity. Not weakened by age, but unburdened by pride. Do not despise the design of God because it does not flatter your sense of normal. He is not constructing fairy tales, he is forming covenant. The world will ask questions. Some may doubt your discernment, and even your own heart may rise in protest. But the peace of God is not always found in the absence of uncertainty. It is found in the presence of obedience. The name you were given may lead you into unfamiliar territory, but God will not call you without walking ahead of you. Trust is not built on explanations but on encounters. And if you have encountered the living God, if his voice has whispered a name that lingers longer than desire, then you are not chasing a dream, you are answering a summons. And that answer, however trembling, is the beginning of everything sacred.